My last name, Duncan, originated from Scotland. Many Duncans from Scotland voyaged across open seas for days on end in grueling conditions in order to have new beginnings in countries including Ireland, Australia, and in North America. Most notable of the Scottish Duncans was King Duncan I. He was ultimately killed by Macbeth in 1040. The Duncan motto or war cry or slogan is Dice Pati, which means learn to suffer. A few Duncans who are worth mentioning because of their fame include Tim Duncan, who is an NBA basketball player, Isadora Duncan, who was a famous ballerina who passed away in the 1920s, and Robert Duncan, who was instrumental in the development of the Beatnik crew in San Francisco, who passed away in the 1980s. My first name, Hannah, comes from the Arabic verb hanan, which means gracious or to implore. Another version / definition of hanan depicts someone who is heartfelt and someone who makes gestures to those who are in need. Hannah is a very biblical name. My family is not necessarily religious. My mother just thought Hannah was a very beautiful name. Hannah is a woman in the Bible who is married to a very important priest named Elkanah. Hannah becomes well known within their community, unfortunately, for being barren, unable to produce a child for their family. Because of this, Elkanah takes on a new wife, and this wife treats Hannah very poorly. Hannah truly embodies the meaning of her name. She remains steadfast in her faith and her support of those in her community, although she is somewhat ostracized for not being able to produce a male heir into their family, something that was very important in that day and age. The community considered this movement that Elkanah had made a polygamist curse. Hannah ultimately was able to conceive 4 boys, which the community believed was part of the curse. Having 4 children in that day and age was something that was very challenging because of having to support 4 more mouths in a family. This day and age it's easier, but then it was just so very challenging. Hannah is the 77th most popular girl's name in the United States. Duncan is the 203rd most popular last name in the United States. And there are 35 Hannah Duncans in the U.S. I've actually met another Hannah Duncan, and it was very surreal and rather interesting. I have endured several different nicknames for being a Hannah. I mean, every derivative of banana you could possibly imagine. Also, my oldest sister always called me Banana Peel, which ultimately turned into just Peel. Hannah was the #1 girl's name in the year I was born, 1990. I'm very lucky to have a more unique middle name. My middle name is Matilda. Matilda comes from my great-great-grandmother. My father's great-grandfather, James Man Wright, married Matilda in the United States, and this is a photo of them. Matilda and James Man Wright. Matilda was 100% Cherokee Indian and ultimately changed her name to Matilda when they moved to Europe, something that she chose to do as the new wife of James Man Wright in order to fit some of their norms in Europe. I'm very lucky to have such strong heritage as a person who is part Cherokee Indian. I find it very interesting to learn more about her. Matilda is also incorporated into an Australian folk song that people consider kind of fun to sing to me at times. Waltzing Matilda is a well-known song that's very interesting that actually has nothing to do with the name Matilda. It was actually the waltz that people embodied when they would be traveling to work, and they would carry over their bags, over their shoulder, and that waltz is what they would consider the waltzing Matilda as people embarked on their journey. Thank you so much for listening.